Good afternoon. How you glorious people are doing on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday? Well, I was MIA quite a bit for a reason. We'll get to that reason in a moment. But first, let me start with this. It has taken me almost 30 years to get to the point that I have to stand by my convictions as far as boundaries when it comes to family. Now, please keep in mind, I don't have this issue with anyone else or anything else. It's always been a barrier for me when it comes to family. Now, when it comes to everyone else, honey, my fuse, it is shorter than a firecracker. I'm serious. I don't, hey, you cross me the wrong way, you're going to have a good day. You're going to move around and move on and have a great life, but you're definitely going to discontinue talking to me, being around me, or me dealing with you. It is over. It is done. I'm not going no further than that. I've always been that way. Mm-mm. It's not going to be an issue. It's not going to be any fisticuffs. It's not going to be any drama. There's not going to be any yelling or screaming, cussing and fussing. It is going to be a decision, and that's it for me. That's all it is. It's not really bad because all I'm doing, I'm making a decision, right? That I think it is most advantageous for me to make that decision, short term and long term. That's just me. Now, it has taken me this long in my adult life to establish these boundaries within my family. Um, I can admit to you, I wasn't parented in a manner my family. That is not something we believe in. That is not something we've been doing. It's foreign for anyone in our family to be this way. So a ways back, I told you all that something happened and my dad just went entirely too far and it changed everything, right? And I didn't really get into what it was because I knew basically he was holding on with his last thread. But when he did, I haven't went back home since. When he passed away, I didn't go home either, and I'm not. No, I I'm not. He went entirely too far. Okay, so let me help you some. So that this may be something that you learn for yourself, or learn for your family, or learn for your extended loved ones, or maybe even your siblings. So my mother, I've described my mother to you all countless, 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 countless times, right? And so I don't have to revisit that again. And that is established and it is known about my mom. From anywhere you go, all over this planet, you're going to get the same response about my mother. Young, middle age, older age, same consistent personality, same consistent family values, morals, and marital values and morals, and dignity as a woman, dignity as a Black woman, refinement, sophistication, elegance, right? Smart, wise. Now, I know you noticed that I've described my dad, but I've omitted a lot about my dad. Again, that goes back to how I was parented in the South. That you don't say anything bad. You don't say any of the bad things anyone related to you do or did, right? So when my dad was younger, he was an absolutely horrible husband. He was a horrible husband and he was a horrible father. He was deplorable, disgusting, and vile. Awful, awful man. And over time, that dissipated, right? It became in the rear view because we saw, experienced a totally different him over time. Now, don't get me wrong, I noticed it, but I didn't say anything. I noticed that there would every so often be little glimmers of that same mentality, same character, same behavior. Couldn't put the two together, but I just saw little inklings of it. And one thing you don't do, you don't talk to my mother about her children. You don't talk to my mother about her husband. You can do a whole lot of things, but I promise you, you will not be on God's green earth if you said anything about her husband and about her children. Period. She don't care how small or big it is. You would be taken up out of here. And that's just fine with her. That's how she was. Very protective, right? But every so often, I would notice things, and my mom didn't necessarily notice, right? And so I stayed out of that. But that don't mean I stopped paying attention. So let's fast forward. So have you all noticed something that I never said to you? What happened with my dad after my mom transitioned? Y'all ever notice that? Y'all notice, have you ever noticed that everything I said after my mom, it was me assuming responsibility for everything and everyone in my family, keeping everybody together, taking care of everything, making sure dad is good, making sure dad has everything he needs. You see, it was like that, right? Moving him from one state to another state, making sure he's at all his appointments, being at all of his surgeries. I mean, absolutely, positively, anything and everything he could think of, he never had to pay for a single solitary thing. He is getting $200 to $300 cash every day. That's, let me be clear on this. That is no exaggeration. None. So if you didn't pay attention, now you need to pay attention. You see, the way that he was with her, that person disappeared. And then that whole glimmers of behaviors, they were full blown at Front Street, right? And so it ain't sit right with me, but I rested on doing what I was taught and doing what I was parented to do by my mother, to be how to be um, a certain type of woman, right? And of course, I was taught you take care of, you support, you love, you protect your family. That includes your dad. And I can honestly say there were instances where really he should have been completely cut off because he was violating. I'll put it like that. He was really, really doing he was violating. Okay. He was being dishonorable and disrespectful. It was like he forgot we were his children, and somehow he thought we were some friends hanging on the corner or something, out in the street, out in the world with him at some liquor house, dope house, or something. You understand? It was there, that level of honor, mutual respect. It wasn't there for him, and that's a problem. So fast forward some ways back, what came out of his face, what came out of his mouth. From that day to the day I leave God's earth, I am not that man's daughter. I'm not. I have no association, no affiliation with that man, and I never will be. From that day to my last day, I've made it very clear to everyone, do not ask me anything about him. Do not ask me anything about that. You're going to have to deal with the boys. I quit calling my phone. I'm not coming up the road. I'm not. I'm not. Well, you got to forgive. I mean, the Bible. Listen, you are not going to use the word to once again manipulate people to do things that are against their own convictions and their values and their boundaries. You want someone to hurt themselves just to meet your status quo. I mean, how is that beneficial for me as a person, as a human being, to stick to a cycle that is pretty it doesn't care anything about the individual. It just cares about the cycle itself, right? And you have to understand, for me to get that way about a loved one, that's pretty severe. And I guess hearing it over the computer, you're not in my personal life. Please understand. Please understand. This is by far the strongest stance I've taken with anything and with anybody. This has been one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I'm cool getting 50 divorces instead of how hard this is, but it's hard, but it's right. It's hard, but it's right. It is the right and just thing to do. You don't keep rewarding people for poor behavior. You don't keep you don't continue to treat somebody like something that they're not and incapable of doing. And they don't have any desire to change that. They mean everything out of their mouth. Let me tell you something. It was it was something going on. This was, almost 2 years ago. And he made some really bad decisions. He made probably one of the worst decisions he could have made, and I had to clean it up. Basically, I had to go in there and do damage control, take care of it or whatever. So I'm doing it, taking care of everything, and I'm telling him, like, these are the things that you're not allowed to have access to anymore. This is what they're saying. This cannot be changed. This man, with his eyes bugging out of his head, yelling and cursing and swearing at me about he know his rights. Baby, God is a good God. God is a mighty and awesome God. He is everything, because I mean it from the realest place of my soul. It I felt almost like the angelic host holding me by my wrist and restraining me. Yeah, because I can admit I was about to beat the hell out of him. I mean that my brain process things like that. I don't see the person. I don't see a role. I see a threat. I see you think you're gonna treat me and talk to me in the kind of way, and my switch just goes like that. If you want to get verbally violent and abusive, then I'm gonna get physically violent and abusive, and I don't care who they are, because you're not gonna abuse me in any capacity, anybody, because I was parented to not accept that from anyone, and that includes him. So I had to stop, like, myself, and I just walked off. Like, I just walked out the building. So the lady, she came out the building and she said, after everything you did for him, everything, she said, I ain't seen nobody else come up here but you the whole time all of this been going on. And he talked to you like that. He spoke to you in that way. She said, I'm not okay with that. And because of that, everything I was going to eliminate and remove on account of you, because I saw just how committed you were and how loving and kind you've been through all of this. And because of what I just saw in there, all of that is null and void. He is now responsible for all of it. If it's not taken care of in X amount of time, a warrant will be issued for him. And I just stood there and said, what part of this would the warrant be issued for? Is it the monetary part, or is it something else? She said it's not even about that at this point. After what I saw, is she said it's not even about that. And I'm trying to explain to her, you have to remember he's getting aged. He can't, control his emotions, low testosterone. I'm coming up with everything under the sun, instead of accepting and standing in the truth. The reality is that in this life, if you do something wrong, there are consequences. Just like in life, if you do something good, there may not be a reward. You do something good, there may be a reward. It can go any kind of way. It's consequences and rewards in this life. And this joker was about to take his behind to jail. So what did I do? I took care. And I'm standing there, handing her a card. And she said, and you still gonna pay for this after what I just told you? And I felt like in that moment, it was almost like she decided to step in as a grandmother figure and say, don't you do nothing else for him. That right there, you don't do something for somebody like that. And they're doing it because you're a woman. And I thought about it. When she said it, I didn't think about it before she said he's doing that because you're a woman. That generation have a problem with women. And that's what she said. And she said, you still gonna stand here and take the hit for what he did. And then he turned around and talked to you like that about his rights and him not knowing his rights are null and void. And we can easily have a warrant signed for his arrest. But you standing here and you're the one he cussed out. You the one he cussed out and talked crazy to. And I took care of it. I pushed the situation to the side, kept you just trudge along, take care of everything for the holidays, XYZ 1, 2, 3, Father's Day, XY, whatever. But this last most recent time, I'm done. I'm done. I've paid for it. I paid for it in advance some time ago. I've been paid for it. So y'all go ahead and do his whatever because I'm not doing anything. Like, don't ask me anything about him. Don't expect me to be there when I have done what the other ones weren't willing to do. I have paid for his services. I paid for him long ago, cash. Well, not cash, but straight out the bank, straight to the funeral home, just straight out. Boom. Any flowers? Boom. Here you go. This is the spray. Boom. This it. This is the unit. Boom. This it. How much it's gonna cost for a wait? Boom. That's it. Burial. Boom. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And I paid for that straight up and down. Them boys ain't paid for that, and you think you're gonna be coming out of your lips and think somebody gonna play with you? No, you wrong. You know exactly what you're doing, and because of that, you have to deal with consequences. So, I've been here with my two aunts and my three cousins. We done been down here. You know what I'm saying? We've been chilling, just kind of, leaning on each other and having real conversations as women, real conversations as women in this family. And it's beyond what we can naturally deal with, and it's to the point now we have to realistically deal with things, and understand to put ourselves in the equation instead of just putting uh the totality of the family in consideration and putting that first and not putting who we are, what we are, our feelings, first, because we deserve that right and that opportunity. And for anyone to take that from us, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate to expect us behave counter to what has occurred to us or what we're feeling. That's not okay. All right. So we've been, leaning on, helping each other. We went, I mean, super early. You would be shocked how early we was out there, and we went to go get the iPhone 16X, iPhone 16 Pro Max. Um, a little later we went and got some breakfast, and everybody we went in our four different directions, because we just needed this time with each other, and they understood that this ain't normal for her. This is not normal for her. And we have to be there for her. We have to. And they were. They were. And I'm just in that place now. Like I can't, um, yeah. I'm not doing that no more. Um, I expect to feel guilt. I expected to feel guilty, feel bad. I don't. The message I have for you when it comes to your family, your loved ones, what's going on in that family, don't keep bad patterns going because they only get worse over time. The only way patterns change is if you change how you're responding to them and interacting with those who are keeping patterns going that are destructive. Um, the reason why I told you, like, I hope this helps somebody. Let me tell you something. If you see glimmers of a behavior, it's there and it's going to eventually escalate. That's who they are because they are how they are because of who they are, right? Not because of what they are, meaning not because of the role, but what they're doing is a direct result of who they are as a person. And you have to um, love yourself and respect yourself enough to not ignore that. Don't no, don't dumb yourself down to my nah, that's not what it meant. Nah, I don't want to over exaggerate. Nah, I don't want to make something out of nothing. Uh no, don't do that. That's a very negative behavior and self-defeating behavior. And it can be detrimental to you in the long run because that type of behavior will show up in other fashions in your life when you least expect it. It'll show up in other relationship dynamics, even professionally. It can possibly show up. And it probably will show up. You're trying to think about the greater good instead of thinking about yourself. That's not being selfish to consider yourself. No, people call you selfish when they want you to do it. They want you to do it. And when instead of you thinking about what works for you, you being selfish. Well, sometimes you do need to. Don't sit and destroy yourself because of what somebody else think you should be doing or what somebody else think you should be. And if it was me, well, they're not you. If it was me, I would. Well, if you want it that way, you would have to have my life, my personality, my experiences. And that's not humanly possible. You can't expect and tell somebody else how to respond to situations. You need to monitor how you respond to situations. That's how I see it. And when people learn that, we look at life in a different lens. We do. We start really then paying attention how we're responding to things and how we're responding to people and how we're allowing and tolerating different things that are unacceptable in and out of the church, right? So don't sit there and let people get you about what you supposed to. And if I was you, I mean, I told one lady, and I mean, I know she meant well. She called about the whole funeral thing, and you know what you supposed to do, and to honor thy mother and thy father, and thy days will be long on earth. And I wish my daddy was here because I sure would. And I told her, I'm not you, and quit fucking expecting me to be. Hard stop. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know your dad, and you really don't know my dad like you think you know my dad. You know my dad through the lens of my mom. That's what you know. So calling my phone, talking like you just know all dads are created equally under the eyes of God. That's not true. People he was fine, but he wasn't all of it wasn't gone from his younger years. I'm just saying that. I just put it like that. It wasn't all gone. No, I saw little flashes of it, but if it didn't bother mom, I ain't got nothing to say about it because it only impacted her as a wife. But I think she got to the point too, she just didn't care no more. I mean, just paying attention to certain things she would say and how she was moving. I just put it like that. How she was moving, certain things she was doing. She ain't care. She just gave up. She was like, you know what? I'm just worried about myself, my life, and that's it. like, and that could be because of her age or whatever. But she got to the point. She was like, this is too much, to be trying to, do all of this. And she got to the point that her advice changed too. Her advice changed. Her advice to me, it started changing. I know within that past them 10 years, like a decade right before she transitioned, her advice started rapidly changing. Like everything about it, it was more you need to be looking out for you at all times. You need that, stuff like you need to have a plan in case something happens. I know you're doing good. I love y'all together. Y'all are great together, but don't worry about that. If that's what this person want to be and who they want to be, they're gonna find it. She said it. She said they're gonna find a way. Come hell or high water, they're gonna find a way and an opportunity. You don't have to wait for that. It's going to happen. She told me that. And she was right as usual. She was always right. Oh my goodness, she killed me with that. She knew before I knew. I put it, and that just comes from wisdom and life experience. But no, it came out of his face, bro. We done. Yeah, I had made it up then. I was physically there, and I was like, okay, well, you will never ever see me again, and I will never speak to you again. And I just told him that to his face. Like, that's the truth. No yelling, screaming, no crying or nothing. I just inhaled and exhaled and said, well, you will never see me again. You will never hear my voice again. And I am not coming to any funeral services for you. Our relationship just ended just now. And I walked out. Honey, I grabbed my little purse, honey, and I sashayed Shantae in my behind right to my truck. And I started heading down the road nonstop. Yeah. And I just kept going, just like life. You have to keep going, dear. But do it in a manner that your shoes ain't hurting you the whole time you walking. Yeah, walk by faith, but he ain't say wear shoes 3 sizes too small in that walk of faith. Goodbye. Bye bye. Well, that didn't sound nice. Have a good day, guys.